Right, well, you get two for the price of one on our Talking Balls podcast this week. So, well, J-Boy, it feels like it was only yesterday that we did one, doesn't it?
It does. Funny it is. Funny enough, it were.
Yeah, it was. It was great. It was really good, and obviously people hopefully will get a good chance to see that. But what we didn't touch upon, and it's something that I care a lot about, and it's something that I've got some knowledge on in terms of maybe not directly, but certainly can understand some of the issues. But one thing we didn't talk about, and it has been a big thing in your life, and the big thing about it is that you're not afraid to talk about it now. And that is about gambling, and something that has been with you and still is in a way. And it feels like as a community on this group that, you know, we can almost add in episode 4.1 here as an addition, but give it its own space. So I think, you know, great for you to come on and talk about this. It's not always easy for people. But I know gambling's been something that's been significant in your life. And I just wondered, Jay, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about, you know, maybe when it started, how it started, and kind of go from there, if you would.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Michael. Like I say, I know we spoke about it before, but yeah, I mean, I'm all for speaking for what I used to do and about what I used to do and the mistakes that I made and still come across now, even though I'm not currently gambling. But yeah, just to touch upon my gambling past and me past when I used to gamble. I started when I was 17. We're a group of friends that we actually went into a bookies, but we didn't get challenged, to be fair. So this is like, what we're talking, 12 years ago, something like that. So we're talking 12 years ago. And I went into a bookies, put an accumulator on. And I looked, it was like a list. It was about that long, and I thought it was a silly one. I didn't have a clue. None of us had a clue what we were doing. And I put it on, and I looked at potential wins, and I thought that looks brilliant. That I thought could have a bit of that. That could be life changing. And I thought, no, why ain't everyone doing this? This would be fantastic. So it started then. That was my first memory of having a official bet. Really, I know when I was younger, family used to bet on Grand National.
Yeah.
And I used to pick a number, and I used to get a thrill then. I used to get like sort of a thrill. But there's nothing to this day now. There's nothing that sticks in my mind that's significant as to why or a reason why I started doing it.
Yeah.
And then it progressed throughout the years even worse. It became worse and worse. And then it became a massive downfall that what I first bet. Obviously I regret doing it, but there's nothing you can change about that. I know I can't change that, and I got worse and worse. And it were like the traits that came with it. I'd be going to work, and I'd be spending I used to be an overhead crane fitter at a steelworks, so I did my apprenticeship. I were in a privileged position, and I even abused it then. I used to go on nights. I used to spit on slots, on sports, teams that I'd never even heard of before. Do you know what I mean? Like foreign teams, and I'm not even. I mean, well, I joke about it. Well, I laugh about it now because I'd probably cry. But I bet on two flies. Whoever would drop on table first, I'd bet on that. Do you know what I mean? Anything you name it, I couldn't get enough of it.
So sorry, Jay, just to kind of pick up on the first bit. So you obviously you track it back to that accumulator. So I suppose, well, did you win the accumulator? I'm thinking maybe not. That sounds like it would have been really lucky to get your first win in your first bet. But what happened from there? Was it a thrill to be doing that, and you kind of thought, oh, actually, I'll have some more of that, even though you lost? Or what was do you remember your thinking around that time?
Yeah, obviously it lost, but it was like something inside me saying, well, you've got many opportunities to win this. You're going to get that one day. You're going to get that amount of money. You're going to win it or what? So you're going to have that big house. You're going to have that flash car and everything. And it was that thrill. To be honest, I touched upon it yesterday. I'm a Rotherham fan, and you know, like when you're with lads and you're having a drink and what have you, it became the norm to having a bet on what you had today and what have you. And at that stage, I reckon that was the first couple of years that I were gambling. And it were bagging. It weren't progressively bad, really. since I started, it was just terrible from then. It was like
Right.
the roller coaster, up and down, up and down. So I won't say I progressively got bad. It was just there. It was just in me, and we say I go to Gamblers Anonymous now and I get help. But they say at GA that some people are not. We call it a phrase. It doesn't sound really nice, but we're not wired up right in a sense, in the gambling sense, as though we're not normal. The way we think. To anything to do with finance, anyway, we're not normal. We always want that little bit extra, a little bit more, and we're not satisfied until we have a big win. And even then, even if I would have had a big win in past, I wouldn't have stopped. It wouldn't have stopped me. I'd have just carried on. I'd been kidding myself. So yeah, it were having a massive effect on us and family. And my wife, she's now, well, she was my fiance for a couple of years before I stopped. I stopped in 2018, June 2018. So before she'd had to put up with, I've been with her now nearly 12 years.
Yeah.
So she had to put up. So her support has been absolutely massive. Without her, it sounds a bit corny, a bit cheesy, but it's fact. I don't know where I'd be. It's scary just what we had her support and we had my family support. It's just draining. Like go to bed. It was like going to bed and putting a bet on. Last thing you do at night, you'd have a look, see what you put on. You put a bet on. You wake up in the morning. First thing you do, check, have a look, see what all they're running, what football teams are playing. It was just absolutely. It was just zapped energy out of you, and I won't wish upon my worst enemy because it's just not a nice feeling to be in, not an nice position. It's not a nice feeling to experience day in, day out. It just it's not the person that it makes you it makes you a monster basically.
Right.
Turned me into a monster, and I weren't a very nice person. Again, addiction that took over me, but I mean. I take full ownership at what I did throughout the years, and it was me. I hold my hands up now to say it was my mistake and not the addictions. But I do get that it was the addiction that we're getting to. But I think if I err on that side of caution that it was my mistake, then it'll keep me at bay from a bet in the future.
So it almost sounds like it gives you a sense of ownership of it in the way that it's not completely beyond your control, albeit it does take over.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want it. I didn't want it deep down. I didn't want it, but I couldn't control it. I know I needed that help, but did I want it? Did I want that help at the time? No, I didn't. And I'll be honest. When I went to Gamblers Anonymous in 2018, it was 27th of June 2018. So I'm nearly done. Next month I've done 3 years.
Wow, well done. Yeah.
Cheers, mate. I know it's just it's. I mean, I couldn't have imagined myself doing 3 minutes, and that's not even a joke. That's not even. So it's massive for me that I can actually, for once, I can breathe. I can relax. I'm breathing because before my chest would be tight. I've jumped down someone's throat if I disagreed with them. Now I'm more open, and it was just that addiction that it dictated everything that you did. It had a massive impact to what you did and how you reacted to certain situations in life.
So were you thinking about it all the time? You know, you had a job, you got your girlfriend who became your wife. I mean, was it always there then, always kind of almost at the front of your mind?
Yeah, it was. It were horrible, to be fair. It were horrible. I can't remember. I did used to sleep all right, to be fair, but it's like I used to dream about gambling. I used to dream about having a bet. There weren't a second. I used to have dreams and I wake up in the morning and I used to feel like a little kid on Christmas Day. I'd be like, right, what can I have next? What can I have next? And I'd just be horrendous. I just could not get enough of it. That roller coaster. I didn't want to come off it because it's like, well, I like creating mayhem, causing mayhem for everyone. And saying that now is just so for where I were, you still think, wow, what a so-and-so I was. But I suppose I had to do. Well, I did. I had to do it for myself and for my wife and my family. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had nobody if I'd have carried on doing what I'm doing. So I'm just thankful that I've got the help at GA and anyone who's watching this now, anyone who's who don't know what GA is, it's Gamblers Anonymous that it stands for, and believe you me, it's the best thing I've ever done going to Gamblers. There's different areas of different. Gamblers Anonymous is nationwide as well.
Mm.
So anyone watching this, you can go to your local. It's online as well. You can see where your local meeting group.
Yeah.
And obviously in COVID, we didn't stop them. We had Zoom meetings, and I made sure I had to attend because I will be and always will be a compulsive gambler.
Yeah.
No matter how many years I do, I'll still be a compulsive gambler. And same for whoever else goes to, who has a problem and solves it. It's just like a drug addict or an alcoholic. So yeah, it's just doing it for us. You've got to do it for number one. You've got to start respecting yourself. So I've learned to do that. So I used to. I mean, at times as well, I don't think I've touched upon it. I used to self-harm as well at times. So I used to sometimes stand there at the mirror and I'll just give myself a good wallop. So
yeah. Why do you think you did that?
They weren't nice.
Yeah. Why do you think you did? I'm just interested, and there's a few questions that I've got coming up from what you're saying. But why, on that point particularly? I mean, why? Because again, some people might identify with that. Or why do you think you did that?
What with the self-harm sort of thing?
Yeah.
I think just punishment, just because I knew I was doing wrong. Anyone who wants to, I want myself to be hurted, not anyone else. But because I inflicted that pain on everyone else, it heightened things. It made things worse. So there were only one thing. My punishment were just to wipe my son around the head and see stars, sort of thing. It don't sound nice, and it's just. I mean, I'm glad I can get it out there now. Telling story now, because anyone who can resonate with it, anyone who's going through a similar thing, I just hope if you take anything away from this, the similarities, then that's I'd be happy. Do you know what I mean? That I've done my bit, and just anything like that to help people.
And I suppose that's what GA gives you as well, especially in the early days when you might feel quite alone with it and thinking you're the odd one. But actually, what you realise is that there's a lot of people who've done it the same, and actually there's a lot of help out there.
Yeah, there is, and like I say, I can't speak highly enough of them. We're all together. No one judges you. We're all in the same boat. We've all got a gambling issue, and no one judges you. You go in with an open mind. Everyone has their own opinion, and that's fine. There's sometimes debates, but that's it. You learn to actually respect yourself and respect others. Instead of just being on that roller coaster and just feeling numb 24/7, basically. But it weren't living. It was just getting by, and it was just it were a nightmare. It was just absolute chaos. So I mean, you've got to want to do it for yourself. First and foremost is what I'd say. Anyone who, not just GA, there's GamStop and you can get help. I mean, I had counselling elsewhere, and it didn't really help me. Because the counsellors that I had, they hadn't experienced it. Where you go to Gamblers Anonymous, everyone's been through gambling. They've all had an issue, and I'm not saying that that everyone's got to have the same path, but you can at least relate to certain traits that someone has, and then you can look at yourself in the mirror and think, well, maybe I might try that. It might not work for you, but if you try something, it's no harm in my opinion.
Yeah, and you kind of, I'm intrigued really as to what stopped you really. So the bit where you said 3 years ago, or around 3 years ago, and you said, actually, I need to get help. This is enough now. I mean, it'd been going on for a while. So what was it that finally made you get and seek that help?
Well, I knew we were actually getting married in 2018. 30.
Sorry, mate, you just got on mute there.
Oh, so it was. I was forced to go to GA for a start. I didn't want to stop. I'll be honest. I didn't want to stop. I was forced by my best friend Kieran, who's on here now, KDM147, who's in this in leagues now.
Yeah.
And my wife to be forced to go to GA. And it's I mean, to this day I say I didn't want to stop. So that and the fact that we're getting married, I knew I had to stop, because Rosanna my wife did say that she weren't going to marry me and she was going to leave me. I carried on and carried on. So I stopped 27th of June, and at GA, I think I don't know if you might know anyway, but after your 3 months, you get a pen saying the serenity prayer on it. And it says on it, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that'd be my longest stint without gambling. So I did it. And we're actually on his honeymoon, and I had a moment on veranda and what have you. And I did 3 months, and I looked out and I thought, I actually welled up. I had my sunglasses on. I welled up. Wife were on sunbed, it were emotional, to be fair. And I just welled up and I just sobbed like a baby. And I just thought, this is the life that I want. Beautiful scenery, you could see it, seafront and everything. And I don't need it in my life. I do not need it. I can actually live it to the full without it.
Oh, that's massive, isn't it? And I mean, was there, and I'm guessing there might have been, but was there a period with you two together, you and Rosanna, where she wasn't aware that you were gambling, but she maybe knew something was wrong? I mean, was that a thing for a while?
No. She always knew that. She always knew that I were gambling. She always knew that I were at. I reckon I'd say within first 6 to 9 months, maybe. I think she knew that I had an issue then, even at them early stages, maybe.
Right.
So she's basically seen it. I'd say 99.9% of the time it has been together. She's seen me struggling with it. And it's just testament to her. You know what I mean? I'm just so lucky to have someone like her. Do you know what I mean? And I think back now, I just think, why did you do it? And then I just think on the other side of things, I think, well, I was struggling at time. I was struggling. I couldn't get out of it. I needed help. Hindsight, I didn't. I wish I didn't touch her a bit, but for the person that I'm open. Well, I like to think I'm a humble sort of guy now. I just think back. I think we touched upon it yesterday a little bit, that I don't know what person I would be without having that problem in my life. Do you know what I mean? I might have been even better. I don't know. I might have been all right. I might have been an absolute time waster sort of thing, or do you know what I mean?
Well, it sounds like, I mean, you know, we've had a couple of chats, and I don't know you from a long time back, but it sounds like you started off in a way thinking big about, I could win this, I could win that, I could have this lifestyle, that stuff. It sounds a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost looks like you've gone from looking at the big stuff and that's what I'm aiming for, and chasing that for a while, then maybe getting lost in something that lost its vision of what you were going for. But it sounds like you're more and I mean this in the nicest way. It sounds like you've got more of a humble approach to your outlook now, where you're not thinking, I need that to make me happy. You almost seem happy that you're on the better side of where you got to, and you're here to tell the tale. You've still got people close to you who you know, on another life it might not have worked out. It just sounds like you kind of realigned what's important to you and what makes you happy.
Yeah, I have, and that's the thing. It were all about money before. Now I realise it's not about money. It's not. It's far from about money. I just like memories now, creating memories. And you don't have to cost a penny. Sometimes you don't even have to cost it. Just going for a walk and going to a park or doing something. And do you know what I mean? Just spending some time, quality time with family, with my wife and my family. Whereas before I'd go out for a meal and I'd be on my phone. I wouldn't be able to enjoy someone's birthday, and I'd be like, someone's 50th, and I think, well, you should be celebrating this, and you're on your phone, and you're not. I weren't there half the time. There were no one in there. There were no one in. A lot of people used to talk to me, and they used to go in one ear and out of other ear. I didn't want to know. I just wanted that. It were all financial. Just wanted that big win, and like I said, to this day, I don't know why. Maybe it was meant to be, and I weren't meant to be one of the normal sort of people. I know there's no such thing as normal, but yeah, maybe I weren't meant to be, and this is the path that I was meant to take, and sort of like improve further down the line.
Do you feel it flipped the switch? You know, you say about I'm just kind of, again, everything to say here is useful, perhaps if people identify with it, but do you feel in a way, you say about the wiring up, do you feel in a way it's almost like it flicked a switch that was there, but it was that flicked it, and then suddenly you go down this rabbit hole and you get lost in it, you know?
Yeah. Well,
in a sense.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, I try not to beat myself up about it, because I always think it's at most, not always, but at most of the time, I think that it were me, that it were just me, and it were my fault. But it is what it is. I went down. I've done them things. I've done those things, and I've paid the. You know what I mean? I paid the price for it. I've upset people, and I've damaged people, and not damage is a bit of a strong word. I've not actually. I mean, thankfully, I mean, debt wise, I've never been in debt. It were always our money that I'd spent, but it still don't make it right. Don't make it right. Or I did. I mean, like savings and that, I nearly emptied the savings, and I've done that numerous occasions. But yeah, I think that switch. I think as soon as you realise you're doing wrong, and it keeps on going and going, and you get older, as you go, and as every year that goes by, you're thinking, I don't want to be 50, 60 here. 40. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be 40 odd and thinking, well, I'm in a worse position than I were when I was 20 odd, mid-20s.
Yeah. And it sounds like, in a way, again, I'm kind of just taking what I'm getting from it, but it sounds like, in a way, there was a buzz around it. So it's like you're waking up and you're thinking, right, Christmas again, let's get stuck in. And you're always on the phone and you're really preoccupied. But at the same time, it didn't sound like you were enjoying it, because there was an element of you going, I don't want to be doing this for the next 10 years or whatever. So you've kind of got a buzz, but you also don't want to be in it.
Yeah, it's like a person inside you wanting to cry, is crying out, saying, I don't want it. I don't want this. I don't want this life. But my heart was saying, I think that's what my heart was saying. My head was saying, just carry on. Just carry on doing it. Just carry on doing it. You'll be fine. You're going to get that big win soon.
Right.
But it's that. It's not just, I don't know, I touched on finance. It's not that. It's just the traits that you have just in general life. It's pathetic, to be honest. It is pathetic. It was a pathetic way of living. And it was just, I'm just lucky. I am lucky that my wife stuck by me. Just the way, like I said, way in dealing with situations, and I would just had everything wrong, and it was just everything was just under a mile an hour. There were no thought process through it. I'd put a bet on, or I'd do some, not just that. I'd just go, I'm going to go and get 20 cans tonight. I'm going to drink and have a bet. Not even think about my wife. And so there was a lot of selfishness in there as well, and that comes part and parcel with addiction, which is we talk about at GA, that the addiction does take over you. Oh, you really are. And I'm glad that I've kept it at bay. That little monkey on my shoulder, that chipmunk, that that's what I relate it to. It's like someone, like a chipmunk, saying, "Go on, have another one." 10 times out of 10, I'd give into it, and I'd go and go and blow. Well, it basically burning me. I used to burn my money, because I never used to win a lot. It was just more damage that I caused in relationships.
And it doesn't sound like even a big win would have stopped you. I mean, you can't know that unless you'd have had that. But it sounds like even if you'd got a life-changing amount of money, that you were too deep in a way.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, I won a considerable amount in 2015, and we put a deposit on this house that we're in now.
Oh, right, okay.
There's always a thought process that I think about. I think about, what would I have done with that money if I would have carried on? We wouldn't have been here, basically. Do you know what I mean? But we did have savings, and at 2015 we were building up nicely anyway. But I mean, a lot of the big win that I had, I lost a lot of that as well. So I didn't keep it all. So it weren't enough for me to stop. I moved in here, and I said to myself when we moved in, I'm going to look after my wife. I'm going to look after. We've got a cat here as well. I mentioned yesterday. I'll look at. I think I can remember saying to Cat. It might sound silly, this, but I said to Cat, I'm going to look after you. I'm going to look after Rosanna, my wife, and I'm going to stop betting. I said it to her out loud. I think the day that we got her, our cat that we've got. And day after, I was gambling. I were on tennis, football, everything. I couldn't get enough for it. And it was like, well, you only say it for a few seconds as though you mean it, and then that's it. You're back to square one again. And well, not even square one, you're back in an even worse position than I were before. So it weren't enough. Even if I won, I reckon if I'd carried on and I got a bit, it won't be enough. Cause
Yeah.
you want more and more. You want billions. You want millions.
Yeah.
It's just trying to just owning up to say, look, I'll hold your hands up. I've got an issue. I've got a problem. The only way you're stopping me burning me money in that sense is to stop and seek help, which thankfully I did.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like you've done brilliant there, and obviously, you know, Rosanna's been a big part of that. So you were big enough to look at it and evaluate your life and make some changes. So you know, all plaudits to you. And what in a way, almost from your story in that sense, I'm just wondering on your thoughts on, you know, we're meeting up because of sport. We're meeting up because we play in a snooker league, an online snooker league. Yeah. And there's that element, isn't there, of, you know, so a lot of looking at snooker, for example, and you're a Rotherham fan, I'm Forest, we both like football, you know, the amount of sponsorship, and particularly sponsorship in football, Championship League, or Championship upwards, and with snooker as well, you know, Betfred is all over snooker, there's a lot of the gambling on that as well. You can kind of see that it's obviously a big money-making industry that can put those sponsorship deals up, but do you think that is part, I'm trying to put words in your mouth, aren't I? But do you think that is part of what legitimizes it in some ways? Because it's so accepted now, isn't it? You can go and put a bet, you can do it online, nobody needs to worry about it.
Do you know what? This is the biggest bugbear that I've got going. Sponsors at sports events, and it's plastered all over every single advert. You see it. Kieran, actually, we were watching telly the other day. It is. And there were a betting advert on. I'm not joking. I think it were on about 8:30 in the morning. There were a betting advert on, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no need for it. And to be honest, the government's not doing enough. It's not doing enough. That's a fact. And I know GA is an organisation with, the hierarchy above, and who deals with certain like meetings and what have you with people higher up. We know that the government are not bothered. They're not doing well. They're basically not. They're not doing enough to because it's one of the it's the biggest killer. There's a lot of people. Do you know that as an addiction wise, you talk about alcohol, drugs, and statistically, gambling is the biggest killer out there.
Wow.
People committing suicide galore.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it. Where do you see like on adverts, you'll see Morrison's now and again deals on, but you don't see them like you see your Carlsberg adverts now and again. Nowhere near as much as what you do like sporting events and on adverts. It's just horrendous, and the sooner they do this and sort it out, the better, because it's just them offers that they are. I used to do it. I used to think, oh, that's a nice offer, free bet if you get. And they just lure people in.
Yeah.
Whoever who's got an addiction and who's got an issue at an early stage, it's so easy for him to fall into that trap, and it's just wrong the way it's plastered all over. Betfred World Championships, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with sports being sponsored by. I know they've got to keep. I know they've got to keep going. It hurts me to say it, but they're a business.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and there's such big businesses. I mean, that's the scary thing, isn't it? The fact they can sponsor all of this means they've got a lot of money to be able to do that, and that's where it's coming from. It's coming from probably a small percentage of gamblers who pay an awful lot of money into the coffers to do it. I'm a Forest fan. I was quite relieved this season because Football Index went bust, and then they changed the sponsors. But actually, it was only because of that, or else, you know, Forest would have been happy to take the pound and you know, take the money and go with it. So maybe we'll start seeing some changes. But no, I agree with you.
And I mean, I'm not saying for the fact that, I mean, look, people who haven't got an addiction, it's fine for that. They can gamble. It's just that there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot more people that don't go to GA. There's a lot of people out there that don't go to GA. And how are they doing it? How are they getting by? They're not meant. It's like we talk a lot about. I know I get help myself with mental health side of things every couple of weeks. And just topping up like having counselling sessions. What are they like in a mental state? They can't be. It can't be right. They need this help. They need more resources. They need adverts saying to say, look, this is where you go to get help, rather than actually plastering the problem all over the place. It's it just baffles it. It's baffling, and it's annoying, and it really, I mean, it hurts me because I know there's people out there struggling. There's people out there struggling. It's that addiction. They need that guidance, like I did, and like any compulsive gambler or alcoholic or drug addict needs. They need that help, but there's no help out there. It's just promoting it.
Yeah, it'd be a stronger message, wouldn't it? It's a bit like it's not quite the same, but almost the Black Lives Matter movement and the footballers taking a knee before games.
Yeah.
That's almost things like that have power, don't they? You know, if footballers started to say, stop gambling, this is really destructive. If Marcus Rashford said, stop gambling and tell the government to stop, it'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, and I suppose, you know, it'd be in a way, it would be a good note to go out on this interview, perhaps just to think about anybody out there who might be in a similar place, or that even if it's early stage and they recognise some of what you've described in terms of, you know, they've put a few bets on, they're starting to get lost in it, starting to lose interest in life around them. You know, I just wonder, you know, you're a great example yourself, and you know, and obviously the work doesn't stop the moment you've placed your last bet, because you're doing a lot of work on yourself still. What would you say? You know, anybody could be watching this. It could be to do with the game, they could be outside of the game, or could be family of people who are having the same sort of issues. So what kind of thing would you say to anybody who might be watching?
2 words that I'd say to someone with going through this same problem is seek help. Seek help. We need us as addicts. We need professional help. We can't do it alone. Family helps, having good family around you, and not just family, friends. But seeking professional help, and I recommend 100% Gamblers Anonymous. That it does a lot, because there's nothing out there like Gamblers Anonymous. Everyone's done it before and actually experienced and gone through the similar emotions, and you can relate to things. So we're all together, so we can help each other along. It don't. I mean, GA. It don't stop. It just doesn't stop overnight. So you don't go and then, no, that's it. You keep on going. You keep on going every week, because you need topping up, because as recovering gambling addicts, we need that, because we need to remind ourselves that it's not, we can't do that. But I just say, anyone out there struggling, just please just seek help. Just talk to someone, talk to a family member. If something don't feel right, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be. It's not going to be around. So you're best talking to someone rather than struggling in silence. I say again, don't struggle in silence. Just speak up about it. That's my advice.
Yeah, look, you know, Joe, you're a big man, and to talk about it, it's, you know, it takes a lot, and you've been really candid about it. So look, really appreciate everything that you've done to come on here and to talk about it. I hope that even if one person tunes in and takes something out of this, that's been a really good use of our time. Exactly, yeah. So I think, you know, we'll bring this episode to a close, but you know, all the best with it all. I mean, you're a cracking bloke. I'm really glad that I've got to get to know you all through this so far. And if people can benefit from the experience you've gone through, then again, you know, that legacy of almost what you've done, it lives on then, and it's helping others. So, you know, that would be a brilliant place to be.
Brilliant. No, thanks for having us on again, Michael. Awesome.
No problem. We'll speak again soon, Jay.
Speak again, mate.
All right.
Cheers.
Okay.